Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 22nd annual spring celebration of the Youth Advocacy Foundation. Giving them a minute to get this hot mic. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're so happy that you're all here. My name is Cheo Bourne, and I'm honored to be asked back to return as your MC after a very successful event last year. And this year, for the first time ever, we're celebrating on a Friday night. No work tomorrow, right? So eat, drink, be merry, turn up, as the kids say, do what you need to do, but most of all, we're here to support YAF. I expect that you're all aware of the important work that YAF does on behalf of kids in Massachusetts schools, since you're all here. So tonight will be a reminder and a celebration of what we've accomplished. And by we, I mean all of you here, all of you at home. Tonight you'll meet some of YAF's key players, 4 impressive honorees, students who've experienced firsthand what YAF does, 2 inspirational keynote speakers, and our favorite poet laureate, Alondra Bobadilla. That's right. Now, of course, there will also be a chance for you to support the work of YAF should you be so moved, and I think that you will be. Throughout the night, I'll be reminding you that you can keep bidding on our fabulous auction items out there by using your personalized bidding link. And the auction won't close till about 5 minutes after this formal program is over. There's also a Donate Now button on the silent auction if you want to donate instead of shop. And for those of you watching at home on our live stream, hello and welcome. Your presence is so important to us as well. And you can participate in our auction by clicking the link below your screen. Okay, now, before I introduce our first speaker, let me say a couple words about why I'm so happy to be here again with you. Besides the fact that you can learn in my program, and by that crazy photo of when I was so young and thin and didn't have a child, you can learn that I am a performer, an actor, singer, and I'm also a born and raised Boston boy. Born in Dorchester, that's right. And I went to Union Baptist Church down the street in Central Square my whole life. And I grew up in the Weston public school system. I was a Metco program member, a Metco kid. And I am so aware of how critical it is that kids get the support and placement that they need and that they deserve. I'm also the proud father of a 2-year-old. Last year I was the proud father of a 1-year-old. Nobody here told me 1 is very different than 2. Please send help. Now, let's get on with the show. To kick things off, we want to take a moment and give recognition to our musicians. Yes, Israel and Musa. Now, these 2 talented gentlemen have played for us here for the past 5 years. And they're both graduating from high school this month and will be attending prestigious music schools. Israel and Musa. Congratulations, congratulations. Guys, please come on up. We have a little something for you. I know how rewarding and challenging it can be to have a life in the arts, and so I'm really looking forward to what the future has for you. Let's please give it up again for Israel and Musa. Now, I am so pleased to call to the stage Ducci Gonçalves, Chair of the Board of YAF and Deputy General Counsel of YAD, the Youth Advocacy Division of the Committee for Public Counsel, also known as CPCS. Ducci will be recognizing those who made this event possible and will introduce our first speaker. Ducci.
Good evening, everyone. So nice to see all of you here today. As Cheo said, we have a really great lineup. But before we get started with the official program, there are a couple of people, maybe more than a couple of people, that I'd like to thank who made tonight possible. First, I'd like to thank the YAF board and ask them to stand up. YAF board. Woo! The YAF EdLaw team. Woo! And the last group I'm going to ask to stand up is the Event Planning Committee. These are the people you have to thank for all of the great food in the back, the appetizers that have been around. Thank you guys so much for all your hard work. As well as the volunteers who helped us get ready yesterday and those who are working the event tonight. Those are the people in the blue shirt. I see you guys. Now I'm going to make you stand up because I see you. Blue shirt. If you have a blue YAF shirt. Woo! All right. I promise that's the last group of people standing up. But I really want to also acknowledge the sponsors, the individual contributors, Josh Sellinger for all of the AV work, the Charles Hotel team, Jennifer, Larissa, and James, thank you. And I also want to acknowledge and thank all of the public defenders and other advocates in the audience, as well as the, woo! As well as the pro bono panel attorneys in the room, the musicians that we just acknowledged, Israel and Musa, congratulations. Alondra Bobadilla, who you'll hear from tonight, and who is our newest YAF board member. Also, Cheo, I want to give you your props for being a great MC. And really, tonight would not be possible without all of the incredible hard work, which started the day after last year's event, by Jackie Stimson, Michelle Scavangelli, and Marlise Spaniard. Also, I want to give a special shout out to Anthony Benedetti, our Chief Counsel for the Committee for Public Counsel Services. Anthony, I'm trying to look in the crowd. I really want to take this opportunity to thank Anthony for his ongoing support of EdLaw and for his commitment to bringing the EdLaw attorneys officially into CPCS. We look forward to, the work that YAF and CPCS can do together to shut down the school-to-prison pipeline and address the systemic inequities that our clients face. So we're looking forward, and as we look forward, it is really exciting to have an Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, who is focused on ensuring that every student is given the opportunity to learn and thrive and succeed. Last week, Andrea was honored by the Massachusetts Black Lawyers Association with the Trailblazer Award. I immediately thought, Andrea definitely embodies the characteristics of a trailblazer. Well, what are those characteristics? Don't worry, I already went to Google for us, and I got all the characteristics. Number one is an innovator. And Andrea is definitely an innovator, someone who is thinking differently about the issues that impact the youth in Massachusetts, someone who is dedicated to fighting to ensure that all students have access to high-quality public education regardless of their geography, income, or race. Another definition under Google is pioneer, and she is definitely a pioneer. She is the first Black female Attorney General in Massachusetts. She's also the first Black female elected official in Massachusetts, statewide. That's right. And I know she will be the first of many changes to positively impact the youth that we all serve. Another interesting definition under Google is a person who makes a new track through wild country. I was like, wild country? Well, let's talk about Massachusetts real quick. Massachusetts is ranked #1 for education by US News and World Report, but is the 6th worst state in the country for education equality. Black students make up 8.7% of the student population in Massachusetts, but receive 39% of all expulsions and 43% of all out-of-school suspensions. Students with disabilities are suspended 3 times as often as their non-disabled peers in Massachusetts. In Boston, where we are, well, we're not in Boston, we're in Cambridge, but in Boston, Black students make up 9% of the student body statewide, but 40% of the students who are mechanically restrained, handcuffed. In Boston, Black students make up 1/3 of the student body, but 2/3 of school-based arrests. But what I can say about Massachusetts is that it has a nationally recognized public defender system with youth and adult defenders incorporating education advocacy in their representation, thanks to the Ed Law Project. But, yeah, we could clap for that. But equally, Massachusetts has a trailblazing Attorney General who, yes, is blazing trails through Massachusetts and is definitely creating a new track in Massachusetts dedicated to educational rights of young people. I'll let you decide if it's a wild country state or not. Andrea has long shown a commitment to ensuring quality education to young people. In 2008, when she had the option to help, she did. She deferred to her job at a law firm and worked with the Ed Law Project. As a product herself of the Boston public school system, Andrea's life really exemplifies the transformative power of education. She knows firsthand that education can break the cycles of incarceration, poverty, and open doors and opportunities that can change lives. She believes that an attorney general must play a vital role in ensuring that every student is given that opportunity and a learning environment to succeed. Without further ado, please help me welcome our Attorney General, Andrea Campbell.
Jeremy, oh my goodness. thank you. Josh led that. Josh, you look fabulous. We saw each other at the Roker breakfast this morning. I just was saying, as Ducci was introducing me, this is not about me. We're here tonight to celebrate and to honor the work of YAF, CPCS in many ways, of course, the Ed Law Project, YAD, and the incredible attorneys and staff who work hard every single day. I often say probably overworked and underpaid to make sure not only that every child has access to an incredible education, but that we are indeed breaking cycles of criminalization, poverty, trauma, and doing it through the juvenile justice system and transforming that system, the education system, and so many other systems. So it is an honor and a privilege to be here. And if you were at the breakfast some of us were at this morning, some didn't show up tonight because you started early this morning. I said I know exactly where I need to be. So this is not about me, but I do want to quickly acknowledge I have a few team members from the AG's office. If you work for the AG's office, stand up. Please do. And I told them tonight to Carlos, Amanda, David, two incredible attorneys, and Carlos, an incredible staff member. And Amanda used to be on the board for YAF. We were on the board together for YAF. And David used to work for CPCS. And so I'm taking the talent from all of you, in hiring or promoting. So they do incredible work when it comes to criminal legal reform, government accountability, juvenile justice. We are more than a partner in this work. We get this work. And so I'm here to say, not only should you buy the tickets, buy all of them, and give your money to this incredible organization because it makes a difference, and volunteer in your time, lend your expertise, show up because the work they do every single day is not pie in the sky. It changes lives, transforms communities and families for good. How do I know this? I started my legal career with the Ed Law Project. I brought my happy self back from sunny California. I was at UCLA for law school, came to Roxbury. And because I was supposed to go to a firm, and I said, it was an economic downturn. I'm like, that's not where I'm meant to be. Someone I knew, I said, if I come back and do service, I want it to be in Boston where I grew up. They connected with Ducci, connected with Josh, next thing I'm connected with Marlise, and the rest is history. The things I learned about systemic reform, about juvenile justice, dismantling a cradle-to-prison pipeline, I learned doing the work, representing children. My youngest client was 6, my oldest 22. Representing children in direct service work, I learned all of that. And you better believe I'm bringing all of that to the Attorney General's office to make sure that we continue the work of advocating with you for juvenile justice, raise the age, which the office has never taken a position on. Never taken a position on. We're taking one in this office. Doing everything we can in terms of government accountability. We just established an internal working group across every single bureau to say, what can we do when it comes to wrongful convictions? What can we do when it comes to juvenile justice? What can this office do when it comes to dismantling the cradle-to-prison pipeline? What can this office do to address poverty and the conditions in which we find our people? What can this office do when we look at the conditions of confinement in the DOC or in other state agencies? We can do a lot. I've only been on the job 100 days, so give us some time to develop that strategic plan. But support this organization, and I'll end with this because it's not about me. If you know anything about my story, and I said this morning, all of my biological parents are deceased, and my mom died in a car accident, literally driving to go visit my father, who was incarcerated at Walpole. I didn't meet my father for the first 8 years of my life, so my brothers and I, we bounced around quite a bit. My father gets out of prison when I'm 8. When I was a sophomore at Princeton, I talked to him one morning. He died the same evening when I was 19. Fast forward, my twin brother Andre would die while in the custody of the DOC as a pretrial detainee at the age of 29 as a result of receiving inadequate health care. I get these issues from the ed law lens, the YAF lens, the personal lens. But to be successful in actually delivering justice for our communities and breaking these cycles at the systemic level, we cannot do it alone. So we're here tonight to demonstrate that we care deeply about the work that each and every one of you do. We want to work in partnership with each and every one of you. Thank you to everyone who is in this room to support this incredible foundation, these incredible organizations. Thank you for being partners. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to the board members. Thank you to the new board members. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow. Wow, wow. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. It's really inspiring to think about how you started your legal career at the Ed Law Project, and now you are the state's Attorney General. It's really amazing. Thank you for sharing those kind words, and I hope that you keep those words in mind as we move through the program tonight. Now, I want to bring someone to the stage who is very important. She's the Executive Director of YAF and a Senior Counsel with the Ed Law Project, to present our first honoree of the evening, Michelle Scavangelli.
Thank you, Cheo, and good evening, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you here. I have the pleasure of introducing the recipient of this year's Commitment to Justice Award. Catherine has been involved in YAF for as many years as it has been around. Catherine understands the work we do and the youth we represent, as she was an early pioneer creating a school within a school for kids in detention in the Department of Youth Services, DYS. And to this day, she continues to show up and ask how she can help. I first met her in 2018 after becoming Deputy Director of YAF. We met at the Twisted Tree Cafe, where we often meet, and I was blown away by this amazing person, a diamond in our midst, who had already done so much for YAF, yet was brimming with ideas of more ways that we could grow and that she could help us. And I have to say, I was a bit starstruck to meet a renowned, successful author, 25 books strong, and no matter what the task or event, Catherine has always been there for YAF. She is a constant champion for us, proudly wearing her YAF fleece. They are, if you don't have one, they're for sale, and carrying the YAF tote, also for sale, and introducing the work that is done by all the people that Andrea spoke about to her large circle of dear friends, because she is loved by everybody that knows her. She is a silent auction collector, solicitor extraordinaire, and you can thank Catherine if you are the high bidder on the lobsters. Throughout her life, she has always led by example and is so deserving of this recognition. I have to mention, it's not even just for YAF. Catherine and Alan go up to, they have a home in Maine in the summer, and even up there, she helps an organization there that is working with people devastated by the opioid epidemic. So she is a champion wherever she goes. And Catherine, before we ask you to come up and accept this award, one of our other board members, who also is quite creative like yourself, would like to come up and sing a song she composed for you. Deb Popple, will you please come up and lead us all in serenading YAF board member, Commitment to Justice awardee, and my dear friend, Catherine Hall-Page.
Thanks, Michelle. I didn't write the music, I just wrote the lyrics. And of course, this is a sing-along.
I'm back up.
Cheo's gonna help you. Your part goes like this. Catherine, You wanna try that? Catherine.
Nailed
You're
it.
hired.
Nailed it.
Okay. Who knows what the song is based on that?
One,
Not
two.
you. Okay, here we
Okay.
go. Who is an ardent supporter of YAF? Catherine. Who's worked for 22 years on our behalf? Catherine. Who writes award-winning books about bodies found in most peculiar spots? Her mix of brains and talent and caring is enough to make you plots. Who's wife to Alan and mother to Nick?
Catherine.
Who once taught high school, which sounds like a kick?
Catherine.
Who went to Wellesley College, that's why she is a major piece of class. And Alan, please forgive me for making her my Catherine Hall pass. Who, Google it if you don't know. Who gets stuff done and gets it done right?
Catherine.
Who are we honoring here tonight?
Catherine.
We're deeply in your debt for your counsel, generosity, and love. Your work with our organizational proved to be transformational. We think you're just sensational, Catherine. Oh, you guys did great.
Well, I really don't know what to say after that, you know. Except thank you. I am overwhelmed when Michelle and Marlise asked me about this, and truly, over this time, I have received so much more than I have given, and I am not just, it's not a kind of eating humble pie or anything, but just to be involved with this organization and with the individuals. It's not about me, just as Andrea said. It's just all of these individuals. I came on board as friend of Josh, one of the FOJs, and met Josh through his absolutely fantastic wife, Patty Guerin, and I really felt that this spoke to me, and that I wanted to be involved with it. And so that was a very long time ago, Josh and Patty. So commitment to justice, when I was thinking about this, I was very lucky and didn't really realize the extent of it until as I got older into adulthood, to have parents who were committed to justice. And they were not just committed to justice, they acted on that commitment to justice. I grew up in New Jersey, and my father was the director of a rehabilitation hospital that was one of the first in the country, and helped to found the National Rehabilitation Association, which eventually resulted in the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so there was always a sense in the house. It wasn't that we sat around having heavy conversations about things, but there was a definite expectation that, again, not articulated, but that we weren't put here for ourselves, that we were put here for other people, and to act upon that. And we drove quite a distance to go to a church that was both diverse ethnically and racially. Livingston, New Jersey, where I grew up, was an all-white, formerly rural farm community, but then it became more of a bedroom community for New York City. And so, that seemed wrong to my parents. But again, it wasn't something that I don't think a whole lot of people ever even knew that they were involved with in terms of fair housing. My father took me to his, along Drew University, to hear Dr. King when he came, when I must have been about 13, so that's a very long time ago. And there were all of these things that happened, and also include in terms of who their friends were and who they were close to, in the gay community. We just grew up not thinking that it was odd that Buddy and Jack were best friends with my parents, and Julie and Charlotte, and all of these other people that were dear family friends. And it wasn't until I was really maybe in college, and my Annie Lambert, my college friend, is here tonight, and I think it kind of struck me in college that not everybody had that kind of upbringing and that sort of sense of direction. That again, it wasn't that it was a big deal talked about. It was just that's who we were. That's what our values were, and I see those values in all of your faces here, in all the work that YAF and YAD and everything else does, and it is an honor, but it's my honor to be with you. Thank you.
Hello, it's me again. Cheo needed a little break, so I did 2 in a row. It's me, right? Yeah, okay, good. So one of my responsibilities in ed law is to coordinate our pro bono panel. This means that I have the pleasure of working with law firms and corporate law departments to recruit and train their interested attorneys in special education law. These wonderful pro bono attorneys, in addition to full-time legal careers, take on fully the cases we refer to them. These are families who meet all of our criteria for legal help, with one exception. Their child, the student in question, is not court involved, so our ed law attorneys cannot provide direct representation. This is where our pro bono panel comes in. Through this model, over the last 7 years, we have represented over 140 additional families. And, thank you. And now, many of these pro bono attorneys, you can see the ones that have been working on cases in the last year in your program, and the asterisk means they've taken on more than one, and I can't tell you how many of these attorneys take case after case. There's somebody in this room that has 2 cases at the same time. And our appreciation for these firms and the companies to encourage their attorneys to do this pro bono work is deep and abiding. Many of you are here tonight, and I want to personally thank all of you for your partnership and for being there for these students. And the work all our pro bono attorneys do is amazing, but tonight we are celebrating Patrick Archambault of Choate and Lexi Reynolds of Proskauer, and that was Andrea's first firm. I had the pleasure of providing support. Ed Law's model is the pro bono team is connected with one of our ed law attorneys so we can give advice, sample documents, tell them about the attorneys for the school districts, et cetera. But we're a support person. So I had the pleasure of supporting them in their amazing work on behalf of Sophia Guidas. You can read about each of them in the program, but what I want to convey to you tonight is their tireless and detailed and excellent, like never flagging, tireless advocacy on Sophia's behalf. This was a success story that took over 2.5 years through 2 schools, multiple placements, and ultimately, Sophia was placed at the Landmark School in Beverly, where she is thriving. To hear a little more about this story, please join me in watching this video.
Sophia is my daughter. She loves go camping. She has a dog, and she loves bringing the dog and the bird. She loves going to the camp and run with them there. So she loves doing that.
I like to do training with my dog. I like to do some training with her. My bird, I like when he comes to the sofa with me and snuggles with me when I'm watching stuff.
My wife and I original from Brazil, South America. We came here like 18 years ago. And Sophia was born in 2010. Sophia was born here in Boston. With her problem that we figured out later on about the dyslexia, she couldn't read. And we read with her, try pretty much every night, read with her, but she couldn't read.
We first met the family in February of 2020, and Sophia presented as a very, very smart, eager person to learn. And her father, Nielsen, was also very supportive and cared a lot about making sure that she got the support that she needed in school.
And so we were connected to them through EdLaw, and first started trying to secure her services at the charter school where she was attending. But it quickly became clear that they were not going to have the services that she needed. So at that point, we worked with her and her family and with Nielsen and Elaine, her parents, to both get outside evaluations to identify, what was going on with Sophia and what might help her. Unfortunately, it was then a long road of pushing and fighting as much as we could to secure the services that Sophia needed, because even our home district wasn't able to provide that.
We interviewed a lot of different out-of-placement schools, and Landmark was our first choice because we felt that they had the services that would best meet Sophia's needs. Must have been a Friday afternoon when we got a call saying that she was accepted into Landmark and that they would be able to accommodate a spot for her. And, it was probably one of the most, most amazing feelings, very humbling experience to have that opportunity to tell them.
So Sophia's been at Landmark now for the past 5 or 6 months since the beginning of the school year. And it's been so great to hear from Nielsen that she's liking it there, she's making friends, she's doing well. It really, really is so rewarding to hear, all of that work for 2 years.
I like they teach you different ways than my other school, which I like. They taught me different ways to do stuff. I definitely have been improving a lot in my reading and stuff. And I'm more a fluent reader. It's been so rewarding being able to see Sophia finally enjoy school and, succeed. We knew, how wonderful of a kid she is and how dedicated she is at school, even when she was at a school that she shouldn't have been.
But she has improved so much. All her reading, writing, and math is getting a lot better. I can't believe it. I'm telling you, that school really, really changed Sophia's life. I'm telling you that. We're very happy. And thank you, Patrick and Lexi. We're so happy with you guys. You guys like an angel for us.
So Patrick and Lexi, would you come up? And I'm wondering, Nilsen, Elaine, and Sophia, would you just stand up and say hi? And I want to give, I'll let them come up, but I want to give a very quick shout out. She knows I'm looking at her, Kathy Mason. Please stand up. This is a wonderful lady who was one of the evaluators who worked with Sophia.
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor and privilege to be here. Nielsen, I want to thank you and Elaine and Sophia for putting your confidence in us. You know, it's an amazing feeling being here, and we're happy that we had the opportunity to work with you. And thank you, Michelle. And you've been an amazing mentor for us. And Lexi, you were an amazing colleague. It was awesome working with you, and you know, you worked really hard and kept me motivated. So, thank you very much.
And we just really want to thank Ed Law for making, you know, this an opportunity for us to really help, and I'm excited to take more cases. I really want to thank Nielsen especially. This wouldn't have happened without you advocating for your daughter, not stopping 1 minute. So thank you. And I want to thank Sophia for working so hard and doing amazing. So thanks, everyone.
Wow, well, great job, Alexi and Patrick. Thank you so much. And Sophia, I mean, you are very impressive. When I was coming up, we were just waiting for Friday night so we could watch TGIF again. But you are an amazing young woman, and your persistence and your resilience and your parents as well, really standing for you. It's beautiful. So thank you. So we know you're going to go really far in life, including later you're going to help me pick a raffle ticket, which I know is every young girl's dream. Now, let me welcome to the stage Bridget Trico, who she's going to present our Community Justice Award. And Bridget is YAF's vice president and board member, as well as middle school humanities teacher at the J.R.I. Victor School in Acton, Massachusetts. And as I understand, there are congratulations that are in order for Bridget. She and her husband, Josh, who's home babysitting, hint, hint, are new parents of a baby girl, Cece, just born a month ago. So please welcome Bridget to the stage.
So I'm told she's watching at home. So hi, Cece. So I'm really excited to be here tonight and just be present for all this. YAF has worked so hard in the past year. So I'm excited to be here to present our Community Justice Award. I've had the privilege of serving on the YAF Board of Directors since 2015, as well as being a JRI day school teacher since 2017. I could not be prouder of the partnership between these two organizations with quite iconic three-letter acronyms, I might add. The Justice Resource Institute is an incredibly impressive organization with a hand in every social service area in the region. But the work we acknowledge tonight is that of their Juvenile Justice Division. This division works tirelessly to promote equity in the youth justice system and advocates for the fair and humane treatment of youth who do enter the system. They provide medical and psychiatric care and access to specialists for detained or committed youth in DYS, as well as juvenile court clinics across multiple counties. They also deliver specialized clinical care to juvenile offenders in their statewide treatment program, the Butler Center. For many years, YAF and JRI have worked in tandem to support children and their families caught in the legal system and are committed to advocacy for these individuals from childhood to emerging adulthood. JRI's Juvenile Justice Division is perfectly aligned with the mission of YAF. It's also very aligned with my own personal values, so I'm honored to represent both organizations. And even more honored to present this Community Justice Award to CEO Andy Pond, Janice Brownhill, and Mark Hutchinson, Division Directors. Thank you for your service. Come on up.
Wow. Thank you very much, everyone. Justice Resource Institute first established its collaborative relationship with the Department of Youth Services back in December of 1979. And since that time has worked very closely with them to drive both progressive initiatives within the juvenile justice system and also work aggressively to implement those initiatives. So Justice Resource Institute has its deep roots within the juvenile justice system in Massachusetts. Also, Andy Pond, its CEO, has his deep roots in the Massachusetts juvenile justice system. Andy started his first job in human services in the middle of the 1980s, working at a hardware secure program with which DYS had a contract with JRI.
Mark was my first boss.
Andy's my last boss. So the roots of our commitment, both to drive social justice within the juvenile justice system and to implement those to the highest degree of excellence, goes way, way back and will continue forward. I also want to acknowledge the support we get somewhere out there. I know the commissioner, acting commissioner Cecily Reardon is. You got to stand up, Cecily. Somewhere you're out there. Where are you?
Way back.
Okay. Cecily has been so supportive as we try to identify progressive reform within the system and implement those reforms. She's been very supportive and worked very collaboratively with us. It's just been inspirational. So thank you, Cecily. So we thank you very much for this award this evening. And it only represents a new beginning. We will continue developing and growing from those roots that we have initially developed back in 1979, both in community-based services and residential services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. What an amazing organization. And thank you for all that you do to help the kids here in Massachusetts. Now, I want to welcome a man to the stage, Sam Harold, a public defender from the Roxbury Youth Advocacy Division office. Please. Now, come on up. I mean, you're a little early. I got to talk about you for a little bit. You can stay, though. It'll just be very embarrassing and great.
Okay.
All right. All right. Sam knew from an early age that he wanted to work as a public defender. And during the summer after his first year of law school, he volunteered at the Somerville YAD office. And while at YAD, he developed a passion for working with children stuck in the morass of the court involvement. And after 2 years of working in adult defense, he was thrilled to return to YAD Roxbury in the fall of 2019 and has been representing children in the Boston juvenile courts ever since. And if you think that all that Sam does is in the courtroom, in April, Sam ran the Boston Marathon. That's 26 point some number I will never need to know miles. But most importantly, raised $13,000 for YAF. Please.
So I thought that I would have to introduce myself, but I don't think I do anymore. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So good evening. I think my job tonight is to introduce somebody that I'm very close to and somebody that had a big impact on me. My former client, Aline Budensha, he's a young man that I had the honor of representing when he was 15 years old. And when I met him, I was struck by his intelligence, his charisma, his resilience, in the face of a great deal of adversity in terms of his personal circumstances as well as his court involvement. And with the support of the Ed Law Project, people that I revere, these are some of the best lawyers I've worked with. And I also was working with another attorney at YAD, my co-counsel, who can't be here today, Laura Alfring. And we were able to fight for the right for Aline's education during the beginning of what was the COVID pandemic. And now, 4 years later, Aline has grown into an emerging adult. He has his whole future ahead of him. I'm incredibly proud of the progress that he's made and the person he's become. And as a guest speaker tonight, I think Aline will share some of his unique insights and experiences, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will inspire all of us. So please join me in welcoming Aline Budencha. This is stressful.
Oh, this is intimidating. First off, good evening, everybody. Boa tarde para os guedes. Como você está hoje? Thank you so much for having me and my beautiful girlfriend, Yali Viana, here tonight, everybody. I guess I'll start from the beginning. A quick introduction. My name is Alin Marian Cristian Budencha. Alin is a Romanian immigrant boy. He got here when he was 9 years old. And we're going to flip this paper over. Alin got here and he was filled with excitement. Imagine being an immigrant from a third world country where you are a minority in your country. You grew up dirt poor, ridden with poverty, where you were excited to have even the basic, most necessary things that were exciting to us. My mother, Alina Vasiliadis, met a man online who brought us over to the States. And that was a journey for me. That was a journey that I was very excited to be in. That was not a bittersweet experience like most other immigrants, but rather it was something exciting. It was filled with hope for my future. That feeling didn't really last that long. So I got here, and for the time being, it was really good. And then it wasn't. My mother, by the time I had turned 10 years old, was arrested on child abuse charges. Her and my stepfather had ended up getting a divorce later on, but nevertheless, long story short, it was rocky. It was stormy. It was up and down, and overall, it was just toxic. And so back to the divorce thing. We ended up being homeless for a little while, bouncing from motel to hotel to friends' houses. And that was a transition period as well. I had learned a lot about myself. I had learned that I couldn't depend on anybody because my mother had been so busy working, fair enough to provide for us, that I had to raise my little brother. I had to be there emotionally for us. I had to be there responsibly for us. I was there as a authority figure from sun up to sundown. Eventually, though, we got a house. Yay, got a house. Great, right? No, bad. Very bad. That house was a nightmare. It felt like a cage. It felt like a prison. I felt trapped, and the same time that we got into that house, I had fell into a deep, deep depression. I had went into my first year of middle school without any friends, a lack of social skills, and an overall feeling of inadequacy. I went to Walsh Middle School, where I did drama. We did the Addams Family. Yeah, that was cool. And by 7th grade, I had gotten my first indefinite long-term suspension. I went to a group home, Wayside Youth and Family Advocacy. And I spent from the age of 12 to more or less 17 stuck inside those walls. So, went to Wayside, got to know myself a little bit better over there, got a little healthier, came back out, was right back in 2 months after. Went back to Wayside, got to know myself a little bit more. I got healthy again. I was back in 6 months after. It was a nonstop spiraling process of going in and going out, and it started with the group homes and it ended in DYS. I'd like to say that at home, I had people that cared about me, that showed me support and love and a role model way of living, but I didn't. To this day, I don't speak with my mother. She's been in and out of hospitals for the past 2 years. She mixes drugs and alcohol. My brother is in foster care. So long story short, I didn't really have that support system from my family that a lot of you might have and might have had growing up. Nevertheless, by the time I had turned 15, going on to 16, BLM was having protests all over the country. I went into Boston with an older friend. Long story short, that night didn't end well for me. I had been charged with arson and destruction of property, and about 10 minutes of actions in that night led to 20 months of my future being stripped away from me. I was arrested and charged, spent some time in DYS in Massachusetts, had gotten out and been sent to group homes. It was at this point that I met Sam. Sam represented me in my criminal cases out of Boston. By this time in my life, I dealt with about a dozen criminal cases, many more civil, and had an overall feeling that lawyers didn't give a crap about me, because they didn't. Sam was different. Sam stepped up. Sam showed me compassion. Sam showed me love. And overall, Sam kept it real with me. He was a friend. He was an older brother. He was everything that I didn't have back at home. Sam and I grew very close. We went through the case as more events happened, unnecessary things to speak of tonight, but long story short, me and Sam got through that. At the same time that I was dealing with this criminal case out of Boston, Framingham Public Schooling was giving me long-term suspension hearings to keep me out. It wasn't the first time they had done this. It had been an ongoing process since I was 12 years old. It seemed like they just didn't want me. I've been feeling attacked by them since I was a little kid. Any little thing that they could pick on, they would. And I'm not the person to victimize myself at all. I was an honors straight-A student. My disciplinary record in school is almost non-existent. I made mistakes outside of school, almost none inside. And it felt like they just kept coming at me relentlessly. Sam specializes in criminal cases. We're talking about civil education. So, who do I go to when I'm now in high school? I'm in my sophomore year. I only have this much left to go. I'm scared. I want to finish. I don't want to be kicked out again and forever. I went to Sam. He's the only lawyer that ever showed me compassion. Sam doesn't specialize in this. So he called the Youth Advocacy Foundation, where he recognized pros. He recognized people that knew how to get the job done. He recognized people that cared about the job that they were doing. He got in contact with the Youth Advocacy Foundation, and they built together a team like no other. I'm talking better than O.J. Simpson. It was incredible. It was crazy. So we met with the principal, right, after long planning, relentless preparation, and almost flawless execution. I mean, I am so grateful for the team that Sam had gotten together for me and the work that they had done for me. But it didn't go our way. Sam and the Youth Advocacy Foundation taught me about an appeal, which is something that no other lawyer had ever told me about. I didn't even know that you could go and say, wait, hold on, retry, right? So we retried. And we went to the superintendent of Framingham Public School District. And we rebuilt and we regrouped and we got ourselves together and we said, you know what, this is our final chance here. Let's try and get this done. After about a month and a half of preparation, countless phone calls and meetings, just slinging back from one phone call to the next, talking with everybody, trying to make sure that everyone was good. And they were calling me. I'm used to organizing everything, and they made me feel like everything was all set, and they were in charge, and they made me feel secure and safe. We went into that meeting, and unfortunately, it also didn't go our way. That broke my heart. That was a hard hit. I'll be honest. Thankfully at the time, thankfully at the time, I was in foster care. So I was transitioning school districts, and I went to Southbridge, and Southbridge gave me a chance, and I did well over there. And then I got locked up for said case in Boston. So things happen. Nevertheless, I got out of there. I got out, and I got my GED. I said, I'm going to make the best of my situation and try and do something with myself. I got my GED, and I got a full-time job where I was promoted several times. I went from working in the to-go department of Olive Garden to being their certified trainer, and now I'm a full-time bartender at one of the busiest restaurants in Framingham. I'm not just rambling here talking nonsense into your guys' ear for any reason. I wouldn't have come here for any other reason. I'm trying to get this through everyone's head tonight that what the Youth Advocacy Foundation and people like Sam Harold and everybody here in the front row, you guys look all very, very great, very professional looking guys, fantastic. These are people who, some of them have gone through the same kind of circumstances that I and others have gone through. And more importantly, these are people that really care about the job that they're doing. I have no doubt in my heart that put together these minds, they'll make such a great impact on today's youth. They'll represent us in a way that I wish I could have been represented. And overall, I just have so much hope that you guys can change the future for Massachusetts youth. Guys, please understand that what they're doing today and here is something that really matters and changes kids' lives. And it's not a temporary thing. It's not just beating cases, not just getting kids to get out of these suspension hearings. It's showing them hope. It's showing them love. It's showing them compassion. It's showing them that there is a possible future. Thank you so much. I'm Aline Budencha.
I mean, I can't, so I won't. But, you know, in honor of your star turn in the Addams Family, I think let's take this, the high culture route, folks, for a little bit. And don't worry, you're not gonna have to sing along again. That portion's over. But our next presenter is appearing here for the third year and has truly become a part of the YAF family, so much so that she recently joined the YAF board. Reading a poem that she wrote especially for YAF, it's my thrill to present the 2020 Boston Youth Poet Laureate, Alondra Bobadilla.
Good evening. I usually never talk before I read because I get so nervous. Y'all don't know this, but I'm shaking so bad. But I just wanted to thank YAF for allowing me to be part of the family, for inviting me back a third time. This is truly one of the things that I look forward to, and I genuinely mean that. And it is an honor to be here to write these pieces for you guys, which is something so special to me. And to be part of the board, which is like crazy, and be part of YAF in a very different way. This poem is titleless. As a young child, you imagine, what can I be? Relentless curiosity, unwavering zeal, vigor to dream, imagining yourself in different roles. You play career like you play house. When I grow up, I am going to be But some kids find their dreams shot up viciously. You walk into school and it's an echo chamber of all they have heard before. They become the spitting image of danger and social erosion, locked up in cells in their minds before they get thrown in any jails. 12, 14, 18, the record keeps stacking. The minor blow up in childhood could have been a moment for restoration, but the system didn't simply fail them, it branded them defective from the start. From the moment somebody's impulse was to call a cop before a social worker. Recognizing systemic failures does not equal the justification of individual bad actions, as some like to say. It's holding institutions accountable for being more like funnels into prison instead of pathways to renovation, filtering promise and purpose and leaving only ashes. You don't need to tell the kid they aren't worth anything when their face pressed up against the floor is enough to send the message. If you could put a system on trial, all these institutions would have been locked up for a while. For what crime? First-degree murder. Of every other outcome the kid could have had, sometimes I think it's just to sell the narrative of strive and struggle. Prove true the age-old American folktale that if you just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, that alone will be enough. And just because one or two prove the system wrong doesn't justify the sin. These institutions that use the skin color of these kids on inclusion posters have deepened the abyss that they can't find the light to get out of. As a grown adult, you hung your degree on the walls and decorated your heart with accolades. You did all the student clubs. You painted all the pictures of success. And imagine doing all of this just to be told they won't give you the job because of a felony charge. But you were an adult. 18. 18 means prefrontal cortex development isn't complete. Can the scales really be even if accountability is only expected of the students and not of the caseworker who hasn't checked in for months? Or for the teacher who knew the struggle and still pushed the kid to their edge on purpose? Or for the laws that favor a trap separating families left and right? When the numbers have faces, you pound the floor in confusion. Why does the same story keep reproducing if justice only sees without color? Then justice has forgotten its origins. So much rhetoric and philosophy just to see children as enemies. I wish people would believe the things they speak and study. I can't count how many kids have told me, is it even worth trying if I know where I'm going? Is it pessimistic thinking or systemic destiny? You tell me, when kids 7 and 19 all sing the same words, same solemn lament, they bury their dreams before they even take root. So sirens are less of a lullaby, more of an omen, a deterministic result, where Tupac's words echo, I see no changes, and for some reason people still can't find the reason, and talk of systemic oppression still comes off as a conspiracy when we tell these suit and ties that they set the kids on our block up and a fire has started and they won't take the part in the fall. They don't take the part in the fall. When will the fire stop burning? When will the fire stop burning? Thank you.
Wow. Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Alondra. You are a super talent. You know that already. And now we have a little unexpected surprise. In a few moments, we're going to get to hear from another of YAD's and EdLaw's clients, Luis D'Souza. But to introduce Luis, let me welcome to the stage Elizabeth Levitan. And Elizabeth is senior counsel from the EdLaw Project. And please come to the stage, Elizabeth.
So I am up here to introduce Louis, a former client of both EdLaw and YAD. I met Louis after his mom reached out to us when a school police-led contingent of cops came to their house because of an incident at school. For the purposes of this intro, I will just reference the seminal Juvenile Rights Supreme Court opinion in re Gulp and say that the allegations were of an irritatingly adolescent variety. Lewis had never been in serious trouble before, and now he was both dealing with school discipline and a juvenile court case. Lewis, his mother, and I worked together to settle him in a new school where he was able to get a fresh start. Unfortunately, once the school learned about the charges, they sought to suspend him. But because Lewis had been working so hard in his new school, we were able to stop that from happening. For his court case, Lewis was referred to Ziad Hopkins, the attorney in charge of the Yad Quincy office, and Jeff Whiteside, the social worker in that office. Together, through Ziad's creative litigation, Jeff's support, and Lewis's hard work and focus on engaging in positive activities and moving forward, they were able to get the court case dismissed. Lewis is now attending college and graduated on time. Now I will let him share more about his experience, and please welcome Lewis.
To be honest with y'all, I don't even remember taking this photo of me up here. Starting off, school wasn't something I was always, the best at. Growing up, I usually went to school just to make other people laugh. I seeked the attention that I never really got at home, especially since my sister was born. The attention went down, and I never really was able to get a hold of my own parents to ask for the things I needed or the attention I needed. So when I was in school, I was most of a jokester, I never really took anything seriously. I was always putting my work last and all that stuff. Some people were comparing me to the Black Ryan Reynolds, here and there. But the start of my senior year, near the start, regular day of school, I was making jokes. Some people didn't find a joke I made too funny, and then it led to me being in court. I remember going home that day. I got dismissed early from school from my mom. I wasn't having a good day mental-wise. And when I got home, I went to sleep. I woke up to my mother shaking me over in my bed. "The cops are here for you." Now, I've never been in a cop situation before, so waking up to that and then being told that the cops are waiting for you, my heart definitely dropped in that one moment. So now, because of that situation, I did go through, I tried to contact many different lawyers, and none of them really was giving me the best advice that seemed very reasonable, seemed common, seemed common sense. But that was until I met Mr. Hopkins. Now, Mr. Hopkins, in my personal opinion, is my Saul Goodman. Oh my gosh. When I first met Mr. Hopkins, he was straightforward with me. He kept it real. He told me what to do. I remember the first phone call with him, he did everything with this energy to make sure it was done and out of the way. It was a feeling that I was actually, someone actually cared about me. Someone was actually willing to step from high above and come down and help me when no one else was willing to. From then on, I met Mr. Whiteside. He was a cool dude. This man was amazing. He was very down to earth, very chill. I would say some things, just because I'm a funny guy. He'd be like, "No, you just keep me on my right path." "Come on, dude, what are you doing, man?" It was the best. It was the best. And so from the whole school situation, we thought the best idea was for me to transfer schools. I went to a school that was closer to me by a lot, like a 5-minute walk, Randolph High School. And from there, everything was going set until I tried to go and try out for the basketball team. So basically what happened was that they sent a paper that Avon needed to sign back. And then that's when Avon had told Randolph about what was happening before I transferred. And that is where Ms. Levitan came in. So I had an in-person meeting due to the fact that they found out Ms. Levitan at the time was pregnant, And the fact that she came out to come help me while she was pregnant really spoke a lot to me. Also, in that same day, she got into a car accident coming to see me. Even after the case had finished, Mr. Hawkins still was in contact with me, and that it showed me more that he just didn't just care about his job, but he was caring more. Okay, that he was just caring more to me like I'm a human being. I'm not just a money sign to him, and that's really what spoke to me. And the people I've met across the way has just been amazing. Miss Levitan is super kindful, joyful. I've never seen her have like a sad frown on her face. She has this vibe that really gets you up and jumping. Now, since everything is over, now I have 2 jobs. I'm going to college. I'm studying for criminal justice. Right now, I am deciding if I want to become a forensic scientist or a public defender. Because of Mr. Hawkins. Mr. Hawkins, while he was defending me in court, it was just the way he was doing it that really spoke out to me, that really said that there needs to be more people like him out in this kind of field. And that's why I wanted to become a public defender. That's one of the motives that I'm going to college for. Thank you.
Louis, thank you, thank you. Can I keep this? I keep this? All right. So now I'm very pleased to introduce the president and CEO of YAF and the director of the Ed Law Project, Marlise Spaniard, who will introduce our amazing keynote speaker tonight. Marlise.
Hello. What a beautiful night. We have this perfect weather. We have this wonderful turnout. It's so lovely to see you. I've given so many hugs tonight. Everywhere I look is somebody I know and a friend and people that have been doing this work for years. And I'm so grateful you're all here. Thank you. Throwing a big event is quite an undertaking, but every year, in the trusted hands of Michelle, our executive director, and Jackie, our operations and development coordinator, they make an absolutely gorgeous evening, and I just get to show up. And I'm so lucky to have both of them on our team, and I'm just so grateful. So can we just give them a really nice applause? So I'm honored to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Reginald Dwayne Betts. Mr. Betts was only 16 years old when he was sentenced as an adult to 9 years at one of the most notorious maximum security prisons in Virginia, where he experienced solitary confinement, horrific conditions, and constant violence. Mr. Betts did not allow this experience to break his humanity, and instead emerged a poet, a scholar, and an advocate. Mr. Betts is a prolific writer. He's published 5 books, as well as many poems and essays. He has traveled the country as an advocate for changes to the criminal and juvenile legal systems. In 2016, he graduated from Yale Law School, and something I think this audience will appreciate, started his legal career as a public defender in Connecticut. He is the founder of Freedom Reads, a first-of-its-kind organization working to radically transform access to literature in prisons, a spokesperson for the Campaign for Youth Justice, and was appointed by President Barack Obama to the Coordinating Council of the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. He is also featured in the upcoming May 15th issue of The New Yorker. Mr. Betts has received many awards. I started to write them all down, but literally it was like the whole thing, and I was like, he's not gonna have any time to speak if I read this. So I'm gonna direct you to the program, which has his full bio. Before I turn it over to him, I also wanna make sure you all know that we have a number of Mr. Betts' books out in the lobby, and he will be staying after to sign the books. Without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Reginald Dwayne Betts.
I didn't realize how many people were here. I want to thank you guys for having me. It's a bit of an honor for a lot of reasons, but I should say that the committee who selected the speakers were responsible for my coming here. So if you have any complaints, you should address them to them. I also wanted to give a thank you to the people who are wearing blue shirts. I saw somebody, yeah, please. I saw somebody with an interesting ring, and I asked them about the ring, and moments later, I was reaching into my wallet, giving up my credit card. The people who run the credit card machine are really conscientious. They say, can you tell the person who this credit card belongs to come here in front of us with their driver's license and one additional form of ID. So I was told that I'm going to win this, that we are all winners, but I translate that in my head to that is my pink bike outside, don't touch it. I am particularly honored to be here because you hear these stories, and I listened to the mission statement for Freedom Reads, and I realized how wrong it is. Our mission is not to radically transform the access to literature in prison. Our mission is akin to producing the feelings that you heard from the people speaking today. And it wasn't just the people who had been in the system, it was the people who had worked in the system. To say that you started your career in 1980 and you still have joy, and that you're standing beside the person who was your first boss, and that you have progressed so much that you are now that person's last boss. Now, you think that that's a knock on the person who was having his last job, but it's not actually. It means that he was willing to do this work for all of those years and see other people advance to the positions that he once held. I went to prison when I was 16. The number that I know that is most intimate to me, as intimate as my name, is 251534. And I think that what Freedom Reads is trying to do is to give people a means to equip what prison does to the spirit, and our choice is literature. But ultimately, I think what we're all trying to do is give people a story to walk away with from an experience that is richer and is more productive than the story that they had when they walk into that experience. The reality is that more public defenders care than any client can ever know. I once had a kid who I represented, was 15. He was locked up for robbing a woman with a BB gun. The woman said they locking too many of our black boys up, but he put a pistol in my face, and I know you say it was fake, and I probably agree, but he should be locked up for a very long time. Now, everybody in the audience is like, oh, they aghast at this notion that this kid should be locked up for a long time, but they don't live in that community where this black woman is like, I'm not supposed to be afraid of somebody who could be my son. I remember talking to this kid, and I said, did you do anything else like this in a time close to when that happened? And he said, no. I said, because the police are going to come at us with it, and we just need to know. And he said, no. The prosecutor said he actually confessed to robbing somebody else 2 blocks down the way. I said, he did not confess. I just talked to this young man. He told me he did not do it. I explicitly told him it's going to make me look bad if he says he didn't do it, and I say that that wasn't him. And I said, now look, caveat is they can't find the paperwork. I am certain this kid did not know what caveat means, and he thought it meant the lottery, because I did too. Until the prosecutor said, we have the paperwork. And this kid is probably saying how his public defenders didn't care about him because they kept pressing him, trying to get him to confess to something. And what the kid doesn't know is that we were scrambling trying to produce a story that meant freedom no matter what it was that he had did. And a lot of times the efforts of people in this room can't be understood by their clients because as a client, you only see one lens. I think what's really powerful about the stories I've heard is that so many people working with YAF are working to show the young folks that they're working with more than just that one lens of legal representation. I said my state number was 251534, and that's only part of it. I should say that what landed me here is that I couldn't get a job. And so I applied for a fellowship I had no business getting. It was the Radcliffe Fellowship. They give it to 50 people each year. It's supposed to be for mid-career authors. Mid-career writers, you could be a public defender, you could be an artist, you could be a musician, you could be Musa when you get older. I knew this kid when he was 5. His mom, Gretchen, they welcomed me and my wife and our 2 children into the community, and he was so young that in my head he was 3. His mom was like, no, he was 5. I know all of those years. And to see him here today is this thing about the stories that we try to produce in the lives of other people. What drove me here is that because I've been to prison, I struggled to find my own story. And applying for that Radcliffe Fellowship was a Hail Mary, which is to say the young folks in this room that's thinking about what they're going to do tomorrow, they should not let what they did yesterday predict what they might do tomorrow. This moment is sort of bittersweet. I remember Gretchen said that I had things to do, and that's why I left Massachusetts. But the reality is I left Massachusetts because I still couldn't get a job. I applied to work at universities that would later give me honorary degrees, but wouldn't give me an interview. I applied to 2 consecutive jobs here in Boston. One job, which was in Roxbury, they said that I couldn't have the job because I sounded too much like a professor. I was like, you've not been to prison. They say, I know, that's what surprises us. But we don't think you will connect to our children. You sound too much like a professor. What the fuck kind of shit is that? See, they said, you should have gave us a little bit more of that during your interview. The other job I applied for, I won't even air out the name of the institution, but the other job I applied for, I got the job, and they knew that I had a criminal record, and I was going to be tutoring kids after school. And they came back at me and said, it's taking a long time to process your criminal record, and school is going to start soon, so unfortunately we can't hire you. And I was like, but I confessed again, like 15 years after I committed my crime, to you of all of the crimes I committed. I even explained how I went to prison for those same crimes. I wrote a book about it. It's on Google. Like, I don't know what the background check is going to prove to you that it's true, but, and they were progressives. And I had to ask myself, what am I going to do? I convinced this woman to marry me, and we had not 1 but 2 children, which is twice the amount of Similac, if you know such things. It is twice the amount of child care. It's a woman here today. Our children went to the same daycare. It was a Spanish immersion school, and my fucking kid is now learning French. So that says how much that worked out. But it's a pleasure to see you, and it's a pleasure to remember that what drove us away wasn't that we didn't love the community that we were a part of, but that the community did not love me. And I thought, where can I go to be loved? Where can I go to be accepted? Where my 3 felonies and 3 no process felonies. And the thing is, no process doesn't matter in the real world, but it matters to lawyers. They want to know, how many charges with no process? Where could I go where I will be accepted despite that? I struggled with this question, and I decided to go to law school. Where else would I feel at home? Where people would understand that people make mistakes under the strangest conditions. And I say that part of the story because it frankly was at law school where I used to think that my job was to be a public defender. I thought that my job was to be on the front end and to help people not end up in prison. Now, my first job as a student was working in a clinic where we represented kids who were facing expulsion. And then after law school, and during the law school, I worked at the public defender's office in D.C., and then after law school, I worked in New Haven at the Public Defender's Office, and I represented young people. I found that it was a huge struggle, and this is why I'm going to end with a thank you. I found that it was a huge struggle. It wasn't that I thought the kid didn't understand what I was doing for him, because even as he was lying to me, I would laugh at him, like, I know you kind of lying, you know? And some of my colleagues, they thought that you can't tell a client that he's lying to you. But I was like, but this kid is like my fucking son's age, and he's lying to me like I'm a dummy. Or the kid is like 22, and I'm 32, but I'm just not gonna sit here and let him lie to me and treat him with so little dignity that I like laugh and smile in his face when he is saying the most absurd thing. And then I realized that like the judge or the prosecutor would do something that I would find absolutely infuriating. I had a client who was a young woman who had a sort of abuse of a dog charge. Her dog had died. And she had 2 kids in diapers. And what I remember is the prosecutor said, I offer you 1 year suspended after 7 months. And he was looking at his paper as he said it. And I was like, I'm sorry? Do they have daycare in jail? I mean, is somebody going to pay her rent while she's in jail? What are you talking about? And that particular judge wouldn't budge, and they sent it to another judge who was a mother. And I thought this was going to seal the deal. And she said, okay, 1 year suspended after 2 months. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I was in chambers. At that moment, I wish that the other interviewer had heard this language, because they would have hired me. I actually wasn't conscious of me saying that thing. I was so lost in this notion that like a judge, because if you do 2 months in prison, you lose your job, you lose your apartment, like you lose your children. And I just couldn't understand how I was in a conversation in a room with a bunch of adults, and I was supposed to pretend like this was a legitimate response to the accidental death of a dog. And there was other circumstances around it, as there always are, but I couldn't believe that that was the question. And my supervisor and attorney touched my leg and was like, I got the rest of this. And I was like, man, something must have went wrong. I don't know what happened. I went out, and he came up to me later and explained to me generously how there were certain combinations of words that didn't belong around a judge's ears. So the last thing I'll say is what that taught me was when we all show up in the ways that we can. And I ended up deciding that I couldn't be a public defender because I couldn't deal with the burden that it is. And I wish more people understood the kind of burden that it is. And I wish more people understood the passion that people who do it must bring to the work. Because you don't get the kind of praise that you should for supporting the people who are most vulnerable in our society. We talk about brain science a lot, but in 1996, they definitely did not believe that if you committed a crime at 16, you didn't have the intellectual capacity of Einstein. That's how they treated us when we went to court. You must have been a mastermind behind every robbery that happened in the last 7 years. Give it all up. And so you guys do this work without expecting to ever be compared to Johnny Cochran. That was a first. That was good. I don't even know how you know who Johnny Cochran is, but that was good. So anyway, I want to thank everybody in this room. It is really exceptional work. And I also want to say it was an honor, like me and Catherine Hall Page were so disrespectful because I got so excited that she was a mystery writer, and we were talking about books. And my 11-year-old kid is reading a murder mystery, and this is like the first adult book that he read. And it reminds me that the power of books and of education in moments like this is that it allows you to process things and think about things in a way that you don't have access to without those books. And you are sincerely prolific. I am just a scribbler of words every once in a while. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, I want to just remind you all before we move on that you can purchase Mr. Betts' books in the lobby and learn more about him and his story. All right, friends, we're entering the home stretch here, and you know what's coming down the Mass Pike. Tonight has been very inspirational for me, for you, I know, and if you'd like to show your appreciation for all that inspiration, I'm going to tell you how. As a reminder, our auction is still open, so it will be open till about 5 minutes after this program ends. And first, it's time to find out who won the spectacular Le Mans bike. Sophia, can you please join me on the stage? Help me pick a winner. Now, this can be a Price is Right moment. If you want to stand up and scream and run, you're welcome to do that. Please. All right. Our winner is, I won again? Doug Trico. Doug, you won. Congrats. We'll ride it over to you. We're going to ride it over to you later. All right. So, all right, folks, now's your chance to help out, right? We're immensely grateful that you gave up your evening to be with us, to celebrate with us, and buy stuff from the auction. And we know most of you have already given financially, but we welcome you to support us more. Maybe something you heard tonight has moved you to give a little bit more, to reach a little deeper in your pocket. Maybe you're a guest of someone and you'd like to contribute as well. Now's your chance. So we can go into your bidding app and hit the Donate Now button. And we're going to pull up our thermometers here on the side. We're hoping to raise $15,000 tonight, and we know that we will. Last year we raised $10,000, actually more than $10,000. So now is the time to, look at that. We got one already, $250. Thank you so much. So now's the time to send in your bids. Take your phones out. I want to see people looking down, not looking at me, sending in their bids for all these. All right, $1,000. We love it. All right, and so we're going to keep sending in our money. If you're at home, you can also send in money now. We're going to hit our goal of $15,000 in this room, and we've got about 10 minutes to do it. So let's get to it. We want to remember all the amazing stories. Another bid for 25 and another. We want to remember all the amazing stories we heard tonight. We heard from Sophia and all of the wonderful work she's doing at her new school and all of the support that her parents are giving her, and we're so grateful for you. And another 500, 100. We're moving. I love it. And we also heard from Aline, and his beautiful story and how you spoke so powerfully and so with such strength and you're so articulate and wise and so young. We thank you for being here. Mr. Betts, we thank you for your words as well. Everyone who contributed tonight and everyone whose presence is here, another $1,000. We're almost halfway there, and we've got a lot of time here, so please keep sending your bids in. Barbara Ullman has given $250 out of her pocket. Amanda Hainsworth, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Jacqueline O'Brien, another $100. If you're at home, you can click that link below the screen, and you can process your donation that way. We want to thank YAF for all the amazing work that they're doing as well. Every year, day in, day out, supporting our kids and the schools here in Massachusetts. Thank you so much. This is amazing. Ducci, thank you. Representing. You never quit. I love it. Thank you. Wow. Jean, thank you so much. We're moving. I love the conversation. Get your friends to give a little. If your phone dies, we have charging stations. We actually don't, but maybe someone has a portable charger. They can hook you up. Deb, that's my friend Deb Popple. She just gave. Bridget, thank you so much. We're really doing it. Annie, thank you so much. Remember, this is a party tonight. It's Friday night. You don't have work tomorrow, so you can just have a drink and forget about the week's work. Ellen, thank you so much. Did we cross the halfway? All right, we're about halfway through. Thank you so much. Alondra, thank you for your beautiful poem tonight. Spectacular. Amazing, $500. Amazing. We're more than halfway there. Let's give it up for more than halfway there for the night. $15,000. We're going to hit it right here in this room. Amy, thank you so much, Amy. Amazing. Remember, you can still bid on those auction items for about 5 minutes after we conclude this portion. If you're a fan of pottery like I am, you might want some of that pottery, right? There's a Punta Cana trip up there. You definitely don't want to bid on that one. Don't do it. Just kidding. I bid on that. Anthony, Danielle, thank you so much. What is that, 2/3? We're 2/3 of the way. We've got 8 minutes. We can do it. If you're at home, please continue to click that link. There's a trip to Tuscany. Have you ever been to Tuscany, Rob? Tuscany? Yeah, you've been. You're well-traveled. Maybe go back. I don't know. All right. Who's next? What's the next name going to be? I think it's a Steve. Is it going to be a Steve? Can we have a Steve, please? Anybody named Steve? Now's your chance. Now's your moment. Steve. Can we get a Steve? At home. Joanne, we'll take it. Thank you, Joanne. Joanne Sweeney. Yes. The Honorable Jay Blitzman. Thank you so much. Nicholas, thank you. We're doing it. We're doing it, Marlies. Yes. 25 from Jorge. Thank you so much. We're going to do it. 7 minutes. Let's bring it in for these kids, right? We're working for these kids. For YAF, for the hard work that they do. I think the bar is still open. You can get a drink, come back, think about it. Yeah, I will. Yeah, there's also, there's dessert in the back. You can get dessert, cupcakes, coffee, ice cream sundae bar. That's where you'll find me when this is over. Keep placing your donations for YAF. We're almost there. I know we can do it. There's an amazing auction item which lets your kid be a ball person at the Celtics. They get to go and throw the balls to the players. They get 3 seats. You can watch a game from like the floor. Who's going to be is it Steve next? I feel like it's going to be a Steve. I just have a feeling about a Steve. All right. We're going to keep the thermometer going up here so you can keep making your donations. If you're at home, you can keep giving to YAF. We want to thank you so much. I got you. We want to thank you so much for coming. We're going to keep the thermometer going so you can donate. Our auction is still going for another 10 minutes or so. Please enjoy the dessert. We're going to close the auction at 9 p.m., exactly at 9. We want to thank you for being here tonight. It's been an honor. We raised a lot of money so far, a little more to go, and we can do it. And we hope to see you next year.